episode of These Go to 11. Let's turn it up. Hey everybody, welcome back to These Go to 11, an unchurchy conversation about everyday faith. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and review on your favorite podcast platform. This not only helps us to get our content out there, but also helps us to find out what you, our faithful listeners, think. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to These Go to 11. Once again, I'm Nathan Bell. Joining me as always, Greg Dutcher. Greg, what's going on, man?
Don't know me, dog. I believe it is Veterans Day when this comes out, November 11th.
11th, yeah.
So obviously a shout out to all the veterans, the men and women who have served, and appreciate your service very much. It's how many times do we say it? I'll just say quickly, dude, you remember a couple weeks back, I think we did one of the books back in October, I said, dude, I feel like the summer just started. Dude, we're nearing the end of the year, dude. Thanksgiving is just around the bend, and then Christmas and kaboom.
Yeah.
So I'm just accepting, dude. Again, the everlasting now. That's where we find ourselves. We are in the everlasting now.
That's right.
In Ruth chapter 2.
That's right. Yeah, Ruth chapter 2. So excited to be in this section. Last week had just such a great time, such a great conversation going through that first chapter of Ruth. And we really want to continue in a similar format. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and dive right into the text.
Dude, read this beautiful passage. I love it.
Yeah.
About the same length as last week.
Yep. I think last week was 22 verses. This one is 23.
One more, dude. It's a bonus podcast.
That's right. That's right. Bonus verse. All right. Ruth chapter 2. Now Naomi had a relative of her husband's, a worthy man of the clan of Elimelech, whose name was Boaz. And Ruth, the Moabite, said to Naomi, "Let me go to the field and glean among the ears of grain after him, in whose sight I shall find favor." And she said to her, "Go, my daughter." So she set out and went and gleaned in the field after the reapers. And she happened to come to the part of the field belonging to Boaz, who was of the clan of Elimelech. And behold, Boaz came from Bethlehem and said to the reapers, "The Lord be with you." And they answered, "The Lord bless you." Then Boaz said to his young man who was in charge of the reapers, "Whose young woman is this?" And the servant who was in charge of the reapers answered, "She is the young Moabite woman who came back with Naomi from the country of Moab." She said, "Please let me glean and gather among the sheaves after the reapers." So she came, and she has continued from early morning until now, except for a short rest. Then Boaz said to Ruth, "Now listen, my daughter, do not go to glean in another field or leave this one, but keep close to my young women. Let your eyes be on the field that they are reaping, and go after them. Have I not charged the young men not to touch you? And when you are thirsty, go to the vessels and drink what the young men have drawn." Then she fell on her face, bowing to the ground, and said to him, "Why have I found favor in your eyes, that you should take notice of me, since I am a foreigner?" But Boaz answered her, "All that you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband has been fully told to me, and how you left your father and mother and your native land and came to a people that you did not know before. The Lord repay you for what you have done, and a full reward be given to you by the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge." Then she said, "I have found favor in your eyes, my lord, for you have comforted me and spoken kindly of your servant, though I am not one of your servants." And at mealtime Boaz said to her, "Come here and eat some bread, and dip your morsel in the wine." So she sat beside the reapers, and he passed out to her roasted grain, and she ate until she was satisfied, and she had some left over. When she rose to glean, Boaz instructed his young men, saying, "Let her glean even among the sheaves, and do not reproach her. And also pull out some from the bundles of her, and leave it for her to glean, and do not rebuke her." So she gleaned in the field until evening. Then she beat out what she had gleaned. It was about an ephah of barley, and she took it up and went into the city. Her mother-in-law saw what she had gleaned. She also brought out and gave her what food she had left over after being satisfied. And her mother-in-law said to her, "Where did you glean today? And where have you worked? Blessed be the man who took notice of you." So she told her mother-in-law with whom she had worked and said, "The man's name with whom I worked today is Boaz." And Naomi said to her daughter-in-law, May he be blessed by the Lord, whose kindness has not forsaken the living or the dead. Naomi also said to her, "The man is a close relative of ours and one of our redeemers." And Ruth the Moabite said, "Besides, he said to me, you shall keep close by my young men until they have finished all my harvest." And Naomi said to Ruth, her daughter-in-law, "It is good, my daughter, that you go out with his young women, lest in another field you be assaulted." So she kept close to the young women of Boaz, gleaning until the end of the barley and wheat harvests, and she lived with her mother-in-law.
Beautiful, dude.
Yeah, so
listening
good.
to the Nathan Bell voice, dude. I'd get you on my Audible to tell you what I'll pay you. $1.99. And dude, you take that and another $2 will get you cheeseburger.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
No,
what a
good.
beautiful
So
story.
yeah, so good. It's interesting how quickly we jump into this next section.
Yeah, you really do.
Everything going on, right?
Yeah, I've got some quotes on that we'll get to, but
yeah. So the first thing is, right, we meet Boaz right away.
Yep.
And what's interesting is the text calls him a worthy man.
Yes.
What does this mean in biblical parlance?
Yeah, I definitely think, dude, it means he's not just a nice guy. Mm-hmm. Boaz, I had to look it up to remember because I wasn't sure I covered it when I preached it, but there's a debate. There's a little uncertainty of the etymology if it means strength or swiftness. Both speak of a cool factor, for lack of a better word, right? You're fast, you're strong. But worthy man is interesting because it's a little bit murky in Hebrew. It's obviously a positive term. So I've got my notes here. The NIV, it calls him a man of standing. Mm-hmm. The NAS presses it a little more literally, a man of great wealth or means. The Message, if you want to paraphrase, is a man prominent and rich. Mm-hmm. Another paraphrase, the New Living, a wealthy and influential man. I'm rather partial to a man of standing. I think that kind of captures both. This is a strong, respected, dare we say, successful,
right,
accomplished man.
Yeah.
And it's a very positive. Boy, that's an accomplished man there.
Yeah.
That isn't just wealth. It seems to be held in high reputation.
Yeah, and those things can be in contradiction to each other, but in this case they're not, right?
Dude, that's a great point.
There's definitely, he has great wealth, but he's not stingy with it.
Yeah.
Right? He is a member of the community who's investing back into the community to give him that stature and that standing amongst the people.
Absolutely.
It's almost like he's doing what God wants him to be doing as a faithful follower of Yahweh.
Yes.
Right. Which is really going to, I think, both agree, set the stage for the upcoming events.
Yes. Well said.
So we find that Ruth is initiating this request. Can I go glean?
Yeah.
Right. What is gleaning and why is it important to the story and what we see here?
Yeah, let me first, dude, I meant to say this last time and I want to answer that. Okay, Steve Zeisler, who preached a sermon on this, I remember finding this quote probably back in 2008 or something. But it's what you alluded to earlier. Ruth chapter 2 is the story of just one 24-hour period. In the first 5 verses of the book, 10 years whiz by. A famine starts and ends. A family migrated. 2 marriages were made and 3 men died. Now we have an entire chapter that covers just one day. That also ought to persuade us to listen very carefully to the details, to observe the scene, to wonder and enter into what these people experience. For 3,000 years, people have been blessed by reading what took place on this particular day when Ruth and Boaz met.
Yeah.
Just love that little setup. And to your question, dude, boy, it's almost weird to say, but this is kind of what we would think of Israel's ancient welfare system. To glean is a suggestion. If you read Leviticus 19, Deuteronomy 24 are kind of the two go-to passages. Landowners were commanded. They weren't encouraged. They were commanded. But I think that's interesting, to leave the edges of their fields open for picking, for gleaning, for the poor widows, the sojourner, the foreigner, the traveler. Isn't that interesting? Because, I mean, think about it, dude. When you're driven by monetary gain, and we're going to get every last penny.
Yeah.
No, you're not. You're not taking those easy things on the edges, and you wonder, was there temptation? Just go to the edge. Just take it all.
Right.
We can make 10% more. We can, everybody's always thinking of bottom line and what they can put in their pocket, but they're to leave it. So it's just interesting that Ruth again knows about this, and there's guesses. It could be that she's heard it from Naomi. Again, to your point last week, 10 years with her, knowing her mother-in-law, knowing perhaps her faith. Maybe she just sees other people doing it. Maybe she hears people talking about it. But I love that she asked Naomi. She seems to kind of know, hey, I understand I'm an outsider. Can I go glean?
Yeah.
She's willing to work. She's not asking for something to be brought to her. I'm ready to go. And she wants to go out. But again, so much happening here that is built on previous scripture revelation, that God had already wanted to make provision for people like Ruth.
And she's willing to go out on her own.
Yes.
Naomi's not going out with her.
No.
Right.
No.
And for whatever reason, right, is Naomi in such distress and depression that she can't, right?
Or is it just a respect thing too, or both end?
Right.
This is my mother-in-law. She's an older woman. We don't know exactly how old, but she's older. And I think the implication is Ruth's going to get enough for both of them.
Yeah.
To let me go out and glean and bring some food back, so we have something to eat, and we are able to be sustained, and I want to work gleaning. It's not easy. It's not like, I just go out there and pick a couple of cherries off the tree or something. This is going to be some work, as we'll see.
Well, a full day.
Full
right?
day.
That's what we're going to find is there's a full day's worth of work here.
Exactly.
And we see that nothing, to your point, goes outside of God's notice, right?
Yeah.
Just as God tells his people, don't muzzle the ox as they're treading, right? Don't stop them from being able to eat that. How much more important is it for you to provide for those widows and those orphans, those strangers who come through your land?
Exactly.
And so we just are seeing this beautiful picture of God's provision for all.
Yeah.
So verse 3 basically has this piece, right? Ruth, in quotes, happened, right? I put that in quotes. Ruth happened to come to Boaz's field. And obviously, this is a bit more rhetorical.
Yeah.
Is that just coincidence?
Dude, I believe the proper term is a coinky-dink. Isn't it interesting? It seems to be God's providence in disguise.
Yeah.
Right? Like sometimes, what a coincidence.
Right.
That's an old quote, right? A coincidence is when God chooses to remain anonymous.
Yeah.
I've always kind of found that one humorous. But again, in a book that word plays, uses irony, I think intentionally. The house of bread, as we saw last week, Bethlehem has no bread. And then Moab has bread. And then, the house has bread again. And they go back.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting here that the narrator says, Ruth happened. I think it's happened. Wouldn't you know it? Of all the fields, it's Boaz.
Yeah.
And it's a very, and we'll talk a little bit more about Boaz as we go through the questions or, work through it. But I just love the irony here. It looks accidental, but God appears to be orchestrating every step.
What I'm really just enjoying and appreciating about going through this is nothing is wasted, right? And it seems weird, like, well, of course, it's the Bible, nothing's wasted, right? But really, there's so much there's so much in here that if you don't look closely, then you're going to miss it.
You're getting, dude, what?
Right.
I love this book.
And
I love
so,
it because it's just so rich.
Yeah.
So see, once Matt, well, I know you're listening to these podcasts. Right now, I think your heart is enlarged. It's like the Grinch, dude. His heart, Matt's heart is 3 sizes too small, but he's going to hear us talk, dude, and his heart is just
the Grinch of Ruth.
Yeah. Dude, you know he's listening to some Carrie Newhoff podcast.
Right.
Like, I ain't listening to these clowns. No, to your point, dude, I couldn't agree more. I think it's just so, and if things are repeated in a book like this, in a short book, why is that being repeated?
Yeah.
Look, notice, watch. So
Yep.
I love it.
Yeah, no, it's great. And so to your point, right, getting back to Boaz and starting to learn more about him, right? Boaz is brought onto the scene and we get this greeting, right? The greeting that he gives, the Lord be with you, and then the greeting they give, the Lord bless you.
Yeah.
What does this tell us about him?
I am going to steal a quote from Mr. Piper that I must have used in the sermon. It's in all my notes here. If you want to know a man's relation to God, you need to find out how far God has saturated into the details of his everyday life. Evidently, Boaz was such a God-saturated man that his farming business and his relationship to employees was shot through with God. I like that phrase, shot through with God.
Yeah.
Interesting,
Yeah.
the narrator wants to tell us that in his relationship with his workers, I mean, this is the boss.
Yeah.
A lot of bosses, let's be honest, dude, are not probably. I mean, I don't know what is Steve Bisciotti. I don't know the man at all who's the owner of the Ravens.
Right.
If he shows up on a Sunday and he walks to his suite, I'm sure he's escorted by an entourage and he's got, the best place in the house, all the trappings of comfort around him. I don't know. We don't typically think of the boss greeting the guy, serving the
Right.
Cokes at the refreshment stand. Hey, and the Lord bless you. I mean, maybe those bosses tend to stand out because we don't see them much.
Yeah.
So again, I'm just using that. I have no idea the example I gave. I'm saying it doesn't take much to realize this is unusual.
Yeah.
This man, it seems to bring the Lord his wish for blessing on his employees.
Yeah.
Really interesting touch, isn't it?
I think we're getting the picture and the foundation of the 2 greatest commandments, right? Love
Yes.
the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself.
Well
and
said,
so
dude.
you can just see like the first command, right, is there in his speech, and that's an outflow into the second command.
Yes.
And pours out. And so again, what we're seeing is when we talk about a worthy man, right, and a man of standing, we're seeing this is actually even going deeper than that, because this is a man who is a godly man, we would add to that, right, where everything he's doing is just effectual towards the people that are under his care and under his charge.
Yes, dude. 100%. He is, and you know what I love? This is kind of when I took all these writing courses the last couple of years at Wilkes. One of the common phrases they use, it almost becomes a cliche, but it's when you can show, don't tell.
Yeah.
Like they'll say, like in a screenplay, a weaker screenplay would be when the character just says, "Oh, I met your boss. He's not a nice man. He's rather a rude person," or something. Yeah, you could waste dialogue with that, or you could show a quick scene where there's no dialogue and the boss gets out of the car, sees somebody, that's like a person taking the trash out.
Yeah.
So a civil worker taking out the trash. He waits till he walks by him and just drops his coffee cup on the ground and walks away. Not one word of dialogue.
Right.
But you've shown this guy's a mega, what?
Right.
This guy's a bad dude.
Right.
Haven't said a word. Sometimes it's helpful. Like, so the narrator says he's a man of standing. Now we see.
Yes.
Just with that little detail of all the things he could have highlighted, he highlights the greeting and it's a really cool thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, just nothing is being wasted here.
No,
right?
nothing.
Nothing is being wasted. So we have this, this interaction, right?
Yeah.
Boaz starts asking after Ruth, and we start getting more information. And he's just lavishing this kindness
Yes.
upon her, right? And so Ruth asks, like, she knows, she like, I'm the outsider. All I'm doing is living according to the customs of your people. Why show kindness and favor?
Favor, yeah.
So why does this matter?
What's interesting, again, the repetition, I'm just noting here, verse 2, she initially says to Naomi, which we can highlight now, let me go to the field, glean among the ears of grain after him in whose sight that I shall find favor. She's hopeful to find favor, which is really kind of the smiling face of God, as it were. His face is set kindly upon you. It's grace, it's kindness, it's benevolence. Verse 10, she falls on her face, bows to the ground, says to Boaz, why have I found favor in your eyes? Verse 13, she says again, I have found favor in your eyes. He wants us, this narrator wants us to see favor. This is really the whole question of Ruth that you're asking. Will they find favor when they go out into the void?
Yeah.
And in this much more slowed down chapter, it's interesting, like Genesis 1, right, is the big epic cosmic story. Day 1, day 2, day 3, all the way the creation of everything. It's not day 2, it's the same day, but chapter 2, it's all slowed down. Yeah. We get the nitty gritty of our first parents and all this, because we're meant to see things now up close. And we're seeing in the fields of the Lord's harvest. Yeah. This woman is being given extraordinary favor. Yeah. She was hoping just to get some grain. Maybe somebody will, that's cool. You can do that. I mean, it's very possible. Not everybody, just because the Lord gives a command, a lot of people don't care. Right. Get out of my field. Yeah. She gets to his field and gets more than she ever expected. This almost interaction reminds me a little bit of Christ and the woman at the well. It's just you have the moment where Jesus, again, does Jesus have to stop and share the bread of life with this woman? Yes. No, he doesn't, but he does, right? Yeah. He takes time. This woman who's an outcast, this woman who's an enemy, Jesus is going to take time to show this woman favor by speaking with her. Yes. And there's just, I find it interesting how this just really kind of mirrors that in some way, it does. You have the woman who's the outsider, but you're going to have this man of prominence, this man of stature who's going to take time out of his day to be with her and actually really, again, to give her food, not physical food, right, but spiritual food. I think that's a great point, dude. And it's that woman goes out maybe hoping to get some water, meets the kindest man and come see a man who knows everything ever done. Here, it's interesting too. And what I like about this too is that Boaz speaks, because she's, why have I found favor? And he doesn't hide it from her. He basically tells her, all that you've done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband has been fully told to me. How you left your father and mother in your native land, came to a people that you did not know, and it's not lost on him. He sees her faith. He sees her faith, which produces other-oriented action. Yes. And praises it. Ooh. And I love how he jumps in on, he's going to be the instrument that is going to deliver God's favor to her. Right. It's not like, oh yeah, God's going to show you favor. Yeah. Let's wait around until it happens. See if he does. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to do anything. Right. Yeah. That's a great point. It's the understanding that God uses his people to show favor. And so Boaz knows that he is in that moment, God's instrument to show favor to this woman. I love that. Love it. Yeah. So again, nothing is wasted, right? Nothing is wasted. So verse 12 talks about taking refuge under God's wings. What is, I think, and I could be wrong, but this is kind of the first time we get that imagery because we get it in the Psalms, but those are coming later, in a lot of them by David. But this is kind of that first imagery of God's wings. And so what is
this in reference to?
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful sign of protection. You're right that it's you see it's kind of a timeless metaphor. Like we even say it now sometimes. Oh well, he took him under his wing, and kind of showed him the ropes. Right? You could do it in a mentor-mentee relationship. You could do it in a mother-daughter, father-son, relationship. There's protection. There's covering. Jesus, of course, uses this imagery when he weeps over Jerusalem. How I would have longed to have gathered you, as a hen does her chicks under her wings.
Yeah.
It's provision and protection. I'm going to take care of you. And I just love it. I mean, I guess in Exodus, it's not quite under. You do have how I care. God tells Israel in Exodus 19, how I brought you to myself on eagle's wings.
Right.
That's not under necessarily, but there's a tenderness, a care, and an attention to detail. So I just think it's a beautiful image of God ultimately as a sheltering bird, protecting his own. Ruth's left everything to come under that shelter is what she's experiencing. And Boaz sees that, I think, as the real story that's happening.
Yeah, no, that's great. Right. And again, that idea that Boaz knows that in this time he's going to be used by God to do that, right? He doesn't ignore that. Like, we see very clearly that Boaz understands that in God's sovereignty, that doesn't excuse him from his responsibility of going out there, right? And this is, you think about that in the preaching of the gospel, right? Because you can get that hyper Calvinist view of fatalism where, well, God's just going to save whoever he wants
whoever he's
to.
Going to save. We just kind of, let's go play cards.
Right. Yeah. Let's go watch Netflix.
Right. We're not a means of any of God's doing, right? To your point earlier, I love that Boaz is not just, I'm going to be good to see the Lord take care of it. Hey, I got to go. Got some business to attend to, got some big bonus money coming in. He's right there connected. Yeah. Sees his role. Yes. Not in a I'm the hero you need, but just grateful, the Lord, where I am, what the Lord's given me that I can now give. It's really beautiful. That,
again, we talked about it in chapter 1, right? Where just as much as the people realized the good that God brings comes from him and the bad also comes from him, is in his sovereignty and in his plan. Boaz realizes that this good that's coming to you is from the Lord, right? He's truly stewarding his resources. Yeah. He knows it's all God's, and he's just the caretaker of it all.
Yeah.
And that's just so important because I think when that perspective is there, it frees him up to just say, whatever God wants done with it, right? And God has made clear what he wants done with it. He wants the widows and the orphans provided for.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's just so precious to see that actually taking place.
It really is.
But he doesn't just do what's required.
No.
Right. And that's what we see. He does go above and beyond, right? He wants to let her eat with him, right? He invites her to his table, right? I mean, they don't have a king, but right in this kind of context of the community, he's like the king, and he's inviting her to dine at his table.
He's the dude in that group. He's the guy. If you got to eat with him, that's a real blessing, right? And because he's such a kind and gracious man too, a man of standing. Dude, everything in this text is about lavish abundance. You said it, dude. He invites her to eat with him. Notice gives her extra grain and actually tells his work. It's almost like, dude, enough. Right. You can always, dude, we got it. You are pouring it on thick here. You're telling his workers to help her. He's just, to me, it's a lavish, you know how we talk about it. I love the song we sing, abundantly more than I could ask or think, more than I could fathom. God, your love for me is better than I imagined.
Yeah.
It really is, the abundant grace, the lavish grace, or in Hebrew, it'd be chesed, the goodness, the loving kindness, I think we often translate it.
Yep.
And I think, dude, do I have... And the other thing here, I might be speaking a little soon to this because I know you're going to ask me about... I like Sinclair Ferguson. I mentioned his commentary. If there was one, I'd say that's the one to get.
Yeah.
Short, sweet. What did I say? I think it's $10 by Kindle.
Yeah, by Kindle. Yep.
He notes this: bread, wine, roasted grain, protection, provision. Is this a burgeoning romance? Or are we reading too much into Boaz's words? In all likelihood, that is exactly the tantalizing question the narrator intends to plant into our minds at this point in the story. Again, there's it's subtle because I think we already see, without any interaction with Ruth, he's kind to his workers. Again, not a wasted line there.
Yeah.
So I think he would be kind to whomever, but worth asking. Just
what's going on here, right? What's being stirred? But I think what's clear, right, is we're being led to be shown God's heart.
Yes.
Right. And that's so key, right? Is that it's not just, again, we see Samson as an archetype of Christ, right?
Yeah.
A very poor archetype of Christ. Boaz is an archetype of Christ, but a very good one.
I agree. Boaz is one of those few guys in Scripture, much like Joseph, who comes across Daniel very Christ-like.
Yeah.
Obviously, we know from biblical doctrine he's a sinner in need of a savior.
Yes.
But this is a very godly, mature man.
Yeah.
That's coming across to us.
Yeah.
Loud and clear.
And really, it's going to draw us to the greater story of Christ, right? I mean, it's, which is so exciting to see, right? And again, this is why nothing is wasted, because when you start pulling these things out, you start, you almost want to keep flipping back to the New Testament to where Christ is and Christ has landed, because you're seeing these parallels so clearly.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just so exciting to see this, right? Just how God is using him and how we're seeing the heart of God for the outsider, right? When he establishes all the way back with Abraham, that blessing, right?
Oh, yeah.
I will make you a nation so that you will be a blessing to all the nations.
Absolutely.
And we see that Boaz truly understands what that's supposed to be and what that's supposed to look like. So then we kind of, we see all of this happen. Ruth is out continuing to work the fields, and she finally, she finishes, and then, we kind of go back and we're taken back into the home of Naomi, wherever they've settled. And we get an interesting reaction from Naomi. She's softening. So what's going on here? What's changing?
Yeah. What a difference a day makes, right, dude?
Yeah.
What a difference a day makes.
Yeah.
And that's why yesterday, call me Mara. I'm fascinated. The next story, interesting. It's very moving. I really think the Ruth story is a shared story with Naomi.
Yeah. These
two widows that went out into the void.
Yep.
Maybe I'll meet the mercy of God. One of them converts in the journey. No, whoever, that's going to be my God. That's going to be my people. Unqualified, no reservation, all in.
Yeah.
Burn the ships. There's no return.
Yeah.
And there's a shift here.
Yeah.
And I think now we see, that's why why we're seeing the narrator, don't call me Naomi, call me Mara. The Lord has dealt harshly with me. I'm bereft. I'm deprived. And hearing about this, we see a shift in tone from bitter to hopeful. And I think Boaz's kindness reminds her that God is kind. Has not forsaken the living or the dead.
Yeah.
And she starts to see God's hand again.
Yeah. Well, because again, one of the things that we're noticing Boaz's connection, right? We're not being let go of Elimelech.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
And so when we talk about like the living or or the dead, right?
Yep.
You know, we're seeing this is my relative, right? And I have a duty to care for the families of my dead relatives. And I'm not going to forget that duty and make sure that it happens. So we see more clearly the things that are going on. Naomi is starting to soften up a little bit more, right? And I love it because have you ever read Grief Observed?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
fantastic book, right?
Unbelievable.
This almost reminds me of that, right? Because you have Lewis in this is almost like a journal, right? For those of you who haven't read it, this is really almost like a journal.
Very raw,
very real. And you have in one page, right? Lewis writing, you know, religion is all a farce.
Yes.
You know, you go to open the door and you find it, you know, you go to see God and you find the door slammed shut in your face, right? And almost within the next day of his writing, there's this kind of regret of words, right? Like, all right, that's not really what this is like.
That's why we should tell God what we feel.
Yeah.
Because I think there's an enlightening process by hearing ourselves. Because sometimes I've complained to the Lord. I just do it because he knows.
Right.
What?
Right.
Oh, what? I'm not going to voice it. Oh, if I'm quiet, he won't know.
Right.
I think he knows every thought before they're even formed in our minds or our tongue. So he knows fully. He's omniscient. So I speak it.
Yeah.
And then I realize I sound stupid.
Right.
Don't you? Like, oh, now like the Key and Peele skit. Now I see it.
Now I see it.
Now I see it. And honestly, dude, that's where I am on it. Like, oh, now I see it.
Yeah.
So I think there's something. I think that's why the Psalms invite us to cry out sometimes, because there's a self-discovery.
Yeah.
Wow. And, I understand. I mean, who wouldn't identify with poor Naomi?
Yeah.
Her two sons it's unthinkable. And it's a beautiful, it touches me. The hope is here.
Yeah.
And then, dude, we got to really get to the end of the chapter. I'm setting up for your last question.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, we kind of know because we know Ruth.
Right.
But now the important piece of information.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have, this first mention of Redeemer and in some, versions, kinsman redeemer.
Kinsman redeemer. The Hebrew is goel. That's the one thing I remember, which tells us, and I've looked at this, I remember looking at this a lot. Yeah, you guess, is he a cousin? A kinsman redeemer is a family member who could legally, with legal sanction, divine sanction, buy back family land, protect family members, carry on the family name. It's a very important position, so that in a situation like this, husband dies, well, that's it. There's no more sons. There's no more name. It can't be. The land is often forfeited back, or goes into what we think of as the general fund to the bank, and often whatever contracts that Elimelech may have had, or if he had been there, are essentially go into default because a woman, again, we're not defending this. We don't, I don't even like it. It's just a reality in this culture and time. It was a man's world, a man's business world. So there is somebody, you qualify as a goel.
Yeah.
Which means you are a family member. This ties into the custom. We'll get into that in the next couple of chapters too. Levirate marriage, which is Latin for brother-in-law. But it's the notion of somebody that can step in and do these things. So Boaz is related to Naomi's family in some way.
Right.
Maybe a cousin, maybe an uncle, some relative. It never tells us, but he's in such a position. So Boaz showed you that kindness?
Yeah.
He's a goel.
Yeah.
And she's holding out the hope, which you have a feeling, I think that might be an important detail in the coming chapters.
Well, I think something I'll for those of you who know this, it won't be a surprise, but for those of you who don't, I'll just kind of tease that out there. It's an all or nothing scenario.
Yes, it is.
Right. You don't just get to pick and choose what you're going to do. It's you're either all in.
You're all in. You're marrying someone and the land, etc. I think I'll take this piece of land.
Yes.
Not really interested in the marriage.
Right.
the marriage, I don't want to get involved in the land. That's a great point.
I'll take the land, I won't take the debt.
Yes.
I'll take this, but I won't take that. It's no.
Exactly right.
You're committing to all of it, the good, bad, and the ugly. It's all going to be yours.
What you're saying, dude, in the traditional breakfast, the bacon and egg breakfast, what you're saying is that the Goel needs to be willing to be the bacon. Because in the bacon and egg breakfast, dude, the chicken is involved, but the pig is committed.
That's right.
Right? Now, that's probably a bad analogy for a Jewish story. Yeah. So I admit,
Greg, that's not kosher.
I am bringing a non-kosher Gentile illustration to a Jewish story.
It's an unkosher joke.
So again, dude, if I'm giving this to a Jewish audience, probably not using that as my lead-in.
Right.
But here between you and me, and hopefully our listeners, and if any of our Jewish listeners are listening, I hope I did not bring offense.
Yeah.
But I love that. I've always heard that. Some athletic coach said, you know the difference.
Yeah.
Chicken's involved, pig is committed.
And so we're seeing this kind of, dare I say, pattern emerging, right? Chapter 1 ends on a low note.
Yep.
Chapter 2 ends on a high note. Mm-hmm. Right. Yep. And so now we're going to see, all right, where are we going from here?
Yeah.
Right. What's going to happen? Because there is this hope. And I find it interesting because while Naomi will refer to herself as Mara, the author does not.
No.
Right. When the author speaks about her, he speaks about Naomi.
No. Exactly.
And so again, nothing is wasted. Why I'm changing my name, right? Well, the author is not, 2025 PC. I'm going to call you what you want to be called.
Yeah.
I'm going to continue to call you Naomi.
Oh, dude. And Naomi is pleasantness, sweetness, sometimes gentleness, where Mara is bitter, unpleasantness. They're polar opposites. Yeah. So I think that's a good point.
So we're coming to the end here, right? So summary of chapter 2. Okay, Greg, one sentence summary, chapter 2.
God's providence meets human faithfulness and grace flows through ordinary acts of kindness. That one was written down because I knew. But God's providence meets human faithfulness. So again, it's not that, God's providence needs human faithfulness. It meets it as the channel through which it expresses itself in acts of kindness. I just love it. That's again, the providence we're seeing here. They're back in Bethlehem. They're, it's the setup is here. And now, wouldn't you know it? She happened to find herself in this field.
Yeah.
Boaz's field. Could have been in a guy maybe that wasn't like Boaz, the ruthless guy, the businessman. The other thing too, I think there's it's a little unsaid, but I think clear. Ruth's vulnerability as a woman, as a younger woman among men, it's noticed. Yeah, and Boaz wants her protected. Yeah, which I love.
And notice that's even in the borders of the land of God's people.
Yes,
right. Exactly. This isn't like you're in this far off land and stranger there. No. You're a stranger in the land of God, and you're still not safe.
You're not, because God knows the hearts of his people that need a redeemer.
Yeah.
So
yeah. All right, man. This was good.
Love it. Can't wait.
Yep.
Can't wait.
Yep. 2 down, 2 to go.
Yes, sir.
Until the next time, we just rock the Casbah. Thank you again for listening to These Go to 11, an unchurchy conversation about everyday faith. Once again, please make sure you like, subscribe, and review on your favorite podcast platform. And if you ever find yourself in the Forest Hill, Maryland area, please feel free to stop by at 135 Industry Lane, and you can get all of our service times and information at christfc.org.
These Go to 11.